Hello and welcome to the first of 4 sessions of Urban Shadows with a Dresdenfiles skin to it, which makes sense. One of the things is when I first looked at Urban Shadows, I was like, oh, it's going to be, World of Darkness. But it feels a little more like Dresdenfiles to me, at least having compared the two. But Urban Shadows is definitely a political game. Definitely a game about the factions moving within a city. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, which is part of the Gauntlet community. And in particular, this game is a feature of the Codex Kickstarter, which Blake opted to take a level so that I would run a 4-shot and chose this. And so we're doing that. And Blake is in Australia. We have people across the world into different time zones today. If you're interested in what the Gauntlet is, please check us out at gauntlet-rpg.com. You can find details on our blog, our zine, our podcasts, our forum, the community, all of that. You can find that there. Urban Shadows, a number of you are familiar with that. You know that this is a game that definitely has potential to delve into darker material, darker territory. Dresdenfiles maybe pulls back a tiny bit from what Urban Shadows could go to as an end game. But with that in mind, we use the X card as my default safety tool. That's what I use for standard short games online. You can mark that with this as a visible thing. The die roller also has an X card marker, and then you can also say it in the chat. X card meaning if that comes, I may ask for framing exactly where we need to cut, but we will cut past it. We use the X card for material we find objectionable. For if we hit on people's phobias, that has happened before. If something is wildly off tone, those are all things that are legit for X carding during play. Something that Rich Rogers taught me is if the first couple of times something happens at the table and you're like, I'm fine with it, but then later on you're like, okay, no, now I'm not fine with it. It is legit to X card it later. There's no, if something's already passed you by, but later on you want to X card it, still legit. So with that in mind, what I'd like to do is also talk about lines and veils. Essentially anything that we want to hard line setting off the table, or anything that we want to kind of just definitely draw a curtain on if it appears on scene. So Blake, I want to start with you. Is there anything that you definitely want to say this is off the table for?
Yeah, harm to children.
Okay. That is a good one. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Kevin, what about you?
I just have a line with sexual assault.
Okay.
It can be implied, but then we should cut away.
Awesome. Well, not awesome, but you know what I mean. I'll get that on there. Vincent, what about you?
I'd like to veil depictions of torture.
Okay. And I'm actually probably going to hardline that a little bit.
Okay.
We know that in the real world, torture is radically ineffective or get you bad information and stuff. So I would just like to kind of, we can threaten, we can intimidate, but I would like to remove torture as an
Cool,
option for play. And thank you for bringing that up. And Alan, anything from you?
No, I think that covers the ground in terms of lines. Veils, because I'm old and British, then obviously sex has to be behind a curtain.
Okay. Okay. We'll fade to black on any of those moments. All right. So with that in mind and that set, let me make sure I've got what everybody is thinking about character-wise. Now, Blake, You've settled on a wizard?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then Kevin, you're doing the Oracle. And we've got Vincent with our Scholar.
I have gone back and forth on it.
Okay.
So I'm happy to talk through either concept. I have two that I'm both really happy to pursue. So if one
well,
sounds
what's your other thought?
So the other thought is a vamp,
Mm-hmm.
and taking her as a white court Malvora, which feeds off of fear of others, and having her be a therapist.
Either of those concepts, the Scholar is interesting in the kind of greed a little bit that's built into it. The vamp's neat. It does have that web of connections thing in the move. If you've I don't know if you've run a vampire in Urban Shadows, it really requires you to lean into the debts, and the debt moves pretty heavily. It's a mechanic that you have to kind of follow up on.
Can I just
player
clarify
thoughts?
something?
Yeah.
Are we doing it before the White Court versus Vampires War? Because that's
good.
greatly affect.
So my thought is, in terms of this, is the Red Court has been destroyed. That war has gone on. The White Court is ascending in power. We're kind of just after Chichen Itza, and the Wizards Council right now is heavily disrupted.
Okay.
They're trying to reestablish authority in various places. So your wizard can be a little bit under trying to get out of thumb, or trying to rearrange things. You can choose how you want to manage that. Does that seem fair?
Yep.
Okay.
That's all good.
Anybody else's thoughts? Oracle versus Scholar for Vincent?
Or Vampire Scholar.
Vampire Scholar. Sorry, Vampire Scholar. For Vincent, anybody have who's played have thoughts on that? We're just going to put it in your lap, Vincent.
Okay, I'm going to go with the vamp.
Okay, all right.
I think that we have underrepresentation of the knight faction.
Okay.
I want to make up for that a bit.
That makes sense. And then Alan, you are going with a fae. And are you imagining summer or winter court, or somebody who is outside, like the wild fae?
I've opted for the Tylwyth Teg, who are the Welsh fae.
Ah, okay.
Because it avoids me having to do any other kind of accent.
That seems fair. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let all of you go through, do any of your picks for moves, things like that, get stats set. And if you have any questions about that, then I can answer that. The one thing I do want to mention is, because this is a short run game, there are two things we're going to do that are slightly different from the standard Urban Shadows. One is, rather than having everybody at start a session do the start a session pick someone thing, which generates a lot of stuff, but also generates a lot of stuff, what I usually do is have one person pick, and they generate, and then the other people get to mark a faction box. So to kind of keep it a little bit narrower. And then the other thing is, when you mark corruption, you will mark 2 boxes for any box that you would normally mark, just to kind of double up the speed on that and make it potentially a serious consequence. All right, I'm going to sit here awkwardly for a while then.
I think I'm doing the character right, putting the moves in and stuff. It's kind of different.
I haven't played before, and I put my my extra faction point into knight to try to keep it above -1. Any advice from those of you who played before as to whether I'd be better off boosting something to +1 or +2 rather than trying to get rid of the -1?
+2 is a little excessive on the faction stuff. I think you're better off going with the kind of narrow range. Blake, I realized I was Mule. I was saying that. What you'll want to do actually is for the thing, copy that whole spell block over as one thing, and then it'll bring over those check boxes, so you can check which ones you have.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Oh, wait, these don't look right. Oh, they're totally not right. 1 second. Of course, I have messed things up by starting on one archetype and then switching it.
Oh, okay.
So a bunch of these stats didn't carry over right. 1, 1, -1. Okay. Okay. Actions.
Another mechanical question.
Sure.
My fairy magic. Whenever you use a fairy power, choose one. Do I have to choose one now that I always mark, or do I choose it whenever I use the magic?
Let me take a look at that again to remind myself on that. It's always at the time that you cast it, you make that pick.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that you mentioned that getting +2 with a faction it's a bold choice. Are bold choices okay? If I feel like that's a defining feature of my character.
Yeah, that you're strongly connected with that particular faction is a choice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a +2 with mortality.
Okay.
A question for the table, really. In terms of the aspects of fairy magic that I have, I'm torn between glamour, which creates illusions to fool the senses, but they don't last long, and bedlam. Touch a target to place them in a specific emotional state, my choice, mark corruption, blah, blah, blah. Anyone got a preference?
Well, it seems like a choice between creating chaos or just taking advantage of chaos.
I wouldn't disagree. I suppose what I'm trying to sense is as a table, which way would we tend?
Well, I'll say that I always think games are most interesting when the pressure is turned up, and initiating chaos probably is going to do that.
Now, there's a man after my own heart. Thank you for reinforcing that, Kevin. I'll stick with my original choice.
I'm getting back into my wondering if there is something that I messed up by changing things, because my playbook moves did not automatically sync over. I'm not sure if they're supposed to, or I'm supposed to. Oh, copy paste. Got it.
Copy paste, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Are we just putting the moves over, or are we putting kind of every little bit, or?
The only thing you should need to carry over will be those moves, I believe, to cut and paste. The corruption move is probably a good one to have over, just so you have that as a reference. As well as the intimacy move.
That's right. Okay.
And I'll give everybody a couple more minutes, and then I'll look at moving to introductions.
No, it's a ways off, but I have some fun, different ideas for Vampire Clan. I have a feeling we might get to it since we have a few sessions coming up. But yeah, the stuff that's not on the list.
It doesn't want to let me put the picture in for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's reading from that Google Drive link is not.
Okay. Yeah, I just pasted a regular Google search link, but it doesn't like that either.
Let me see here.
I'm not finding the gear. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Let me try this. Oh, Pinterest one either.
I think I've got a link that'll work.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Where's it gone? There. Or maybe not. Sorry, no joy. There must be more Claire Danes on the internet than just that one, though.
I do enjoy how Vampire the Masquerade, the vamp's weapon choices are. It's sword, dual 9mm, and then a Walther PPK.
Well, you got Blade, Bond, and Highlander.
All right, let me try this. Oh, I think I see the problem. I think the image call out got mucked up here. Let me see.
It might be in the wrong.
Yeah. So that's going to be AD. No. There we go.
Winning. Excellent.
Yes. It's so easy to blow these things away. I had used this in a previous game, and the very last column, the BQ over, I had blown away all the formulas, and that required me to get under the hood to figure out how this thing worked, and that was wild. All right. So what I want to do now is go through and have each person introduce their character. We'll talk about the intro questions. I'll also ask essentially some thoughts on how you view the faction or your particular facet of the faction within Denver. Denver is a thriving U.S. city. It's one of the cities that has consistently grown over the last decade. It has a strong influx of new people, new arrivals. It has the problem of some of the other major cities that have had that, where property prices and rentals and all of that have exploded, making it difficult for newcomers. Strong Hispanic, Latino population within Denver, upwards of a third of the population on the censuses claims that. African American, Black population, about 10%, and then some significant Asian and particularly Southeast Asian communities within Denver. There's a little Japanese section of the city, a little Chinese section of the city they have some ethnic groups, as well as the classic American melting pot of German, Polish, Lithuanian communities that have arrived there. And it's got a lot of weirdness to it, as people pointed out in the early part. So we're going to figure out just how weird Denver is. So Blake, let's start with your wizard and tell me about her.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Narelle's from England. She studied geology at Cambridge. Came over here, I don't know, 20 years ago. So she's 50 but looks 30 because I've got that. There's, cells resonate at a different frequency and age a bit slower.
Okay.
Why did she come here? Well, geology. There's the Colorado, Grand Canyon and all the national features. I looked it up. There's like 50 mountains over 14,000 feet in Colorado. So it's in terms of like ley lines and geomancies and earth nodes and all that sort of stuff. It's like a hot spot. So she's like, this is a gold mine for me. I can make my career, both, magical and non-magical career in this spot.
And what did you take for your spells and moves?
Tracking, elementalism, and veil. Veil's just because, there's other weird creatures around and I need to get the hell out of Dodge when necessary.
Mm-hmm. So well, I want to walk through the intro questions, and then I've got some more questions on top of that. So you said 20 years in the city, so you arrived just before the millennium here.
Yep.
And the one of the questions on the intro is, what keeps you up at night?
Probably work. There's so much happening and so much to do. It's hard to put it down. It's like a good book. It's exciting in a nerdy, scholarly sort of way.
Would you consider yourself a workaholic?
If not, then pretty close to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit more obsessive. In terms of that, what is your sort of, I mean, is your day-to-day being a wizard, or do you have an academic position, or?
No, I should have an academic position at
Okay.
a university or some sort of scientific department where she's a full-on rock doctor.
Okay.
And it goes out once a week, digs up some stuff, and analyzes it or collects it for someone else to, because electronic stuff goes funny around here every now and then.
So the question under the wizard is also then, what have you sacrificed for your power? What have you given up in your life to be a wizard?
Well, I mean, she could have been rich by now.
Okay.
But she's following her passion instead of her career sort of thing. She could have been higher up in the White Council. She could have been higher up in the science fields, but she's not. She's just, 40K a year job or whatever, because it gives her access to this place.
And probably a mid-tier position, because a higher tier position would have more responsibilities, more intrusions. This gives you more freedom, so you are kind of skating on that. And what do you need? What do you desperately need? What does she want?
Magical power, like lots of it. She's looking for like a conjunction of ley lines, which they must be here. Look at all these mountains. Something's going on. So it's.
So, did she come from a tradition, a family that knew magic, or is it something that she discovered as she grew up? How do you think that came about?
I think she's sort of a middle child and a bit of a disappointment, because there's, that's a hobby. You're not supposed to take an interest in that. What are you doing? You're wasting your life. You're supposed to marry someone rich, dear.
So you don't come from a family that had any kind of established tradition of magic?
Oh, no. Some of them may have had some talent, but it wasn't serious for them. They were about.
So how did you get recruited? How did you learn?
One of the White Council would have been at the Cambridge, and saw her potential and trained her up, and probably taught her elementalism, because at that point they would have been before the Red Court sort of attacked or whatever. So she was just helping, doing odd jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is your mentor still alive?
Well, this is Urban Shadow, so no, he's dead.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Dead as a doornail. He died in the war.
What's your take on the White Council? Especially if you were probably, they asked you to come. They probably asked you to call up when things went bad. Did you answer the call, or did you lay low?
I answered the call in this area. Okay. So I'd sort of go one state adjacent, and that's it. I'm not going that far away.
And now that the White Council is right now desperately trying to reorganize, try to figure things out, and they've not exerted pressure, do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing? What's your feeling on that?
It's. I have to think. I guess they I'm a bit worried. It's easier to go, the bad guy's gone, but I'm not that naive. I've seen how weird, stuff is out there, so I think I'm cautiously waiting at this point.
What do you think about the fact that we've probably got a number of millennial wizards that have, come here to Denver, also like you, looking for power, and those had very little sort of white council attention or training, and now don't really have anybody riding the whip on them. Nobody, kind of keeping them in line. What's your thought on that? Have you had interactions with them? Yes, millennials are killing the wizard industry. Yes.
I'm thinking I meet two of them sort of once a week, and we just sort of bounce ideas around I want them to get it into their heads as sort of what's out there and what they're capable of, but kind of do object exercises by discussion, like a verbal role play rather than a field test. And I'm sort of slowly recruiting them to this is how things are done, which is generally follow the laws of magic as far as mortals go. But if a supernatural attacks you, all bets are off.
So that's interesting. So you are taking this responsibility kind of seriously because there is a vacuum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's an opportunity, not just for me, but to make things better because, well, some of the White Council would toss us.
Okay, I think that gives me a good picture. We'll come back around to you when we do those debt questions and get that established.
Okay.
And just to mention people, when we do the debts, one thing that Darren did for me is if someone owes you a debt, you can put, 1, 2, or 3. And then if you owe someone, you can do a minus. You have to do a little, what's the word for it? Little apostrophe mark minus. Otherwise, it'll read it as a formula. But that's a good way to keep track of it when we get to that section. All right. Kev, let's come to you and your oracle.
Okay. So Nathanda, the oracle, also runs a small tattoo parlor. And I'm picturing that being in kind of the boho area of Denver, wherever that is. And she's got a crummy little apartment on the walk up above it. Pretty much just a straight up studio.
Okay.
And she moved out to Denver back in 2014 when pot got legalized, left Columbus, Ohio, and moved out to Denver because she smokes a lot of bowls because it's one of the ways to kind of, if nothing else, slow down or be able to ignore some of the visions that come sometimes because they're not always fun.
Let me ask you this: has she used harder stuff in the past, or has she always kind of kept that line of just the more soft to keep that in control?
She's stayed with the softer stuff. She's seen what happens when people, start using heavier depressants and things like that.
Have you seen other oracles go bad? Go down that trap, or is just normal people, would you say?
Heard talk of, hasn't personally witnessed it, but she can see where it would be a risk for her. She might not always be the best at controlling impulses. So now she can just light a joint whenever she wants, and no one's gonna like pull her over or whatever.
And what are the nightmares like?
They're awful. They're almost always either horrible, very detailed deaths of people that, and a lot of times she doesn't know who they are, and it drives her nuts that she can't try to do anything to warn them. And then sometimes it's just larger apocalyptic type visions, and she never has any idea what caused the apocalypse. And there's been a bunch of different flavors. So she's presuming she's seen different possible futures and none of them locked in.
Has anything changed in terms of the motifs or the flavor or the feel of those nightmares since you moved here to Denver?
Oh, that's a really good one. I've been in the Denver airport a few times, but let's say that some of that imagery that they use throughout the airport that lots of people agree is occult signia, that sort of themes have been coming up in her visions now.
Excellent. Excellent. And what do you desperately need?
Well, she desperately needs to save some of these people at least. This feeling of helplessness just eats her up. It's like, what's the good of being able to see these things if you can't do anything about them? So I guess she feels like no control, and thus power faction again, trying to exert some control.
Are there other oracles in Denver?
I'd like to think that there's like the more white collar oracles, and she's definitely, like I said, she's got that kind of bohemian vibe. And so I think they probably look down on her as, being kind of the trashy oracle, works with the commoners and the weirdos and stuff like that.
And so your sense maybe is that they don't have the kind of visions that you have. They're able to channel it into other things.
Yeah, I think maybe they have more control and they're able to use that control to, the rich families and other people higher up in factions, they purchase their services.
I have a question, if it's okay.
Please.
Yeah. Do you have a Cassandra's Tears condition, or do the people in the know, do they actually pay attention to your visions?
Let's see, I've been in the city for about 5 years. I'd say that there's kind of a group of friends who do know that I have these, because you can't just keep all this to yourself. So you might be out, at a pot bar or whatever, and she'll just sometimes unload what she's been going through, trying to lessen her burden by sharing it.
And yeah, so you do have a circle of people who kind of know what you're up to, kind of aware people.
I think they're like, artists and things like that. They might do like graphic design.
And what did you choose for your moves?
Let's see, for moves, I chose, let me get focused over here in this window. I took foretelling. So at the beginning of the session, roll a spirit. And then I also took skim the surface, because I thought that was interesting with her being a tattoo artist and coming into contact constantly with people. So, and then for my final move, I took double life, take mortality as a second faction. When someone rolls with or marks your faction, tell them which is most appropriate.
Okay.
Because again, that mortality, I think that's her. She doesn't really necessarily run with others in the power circles or any of those factions. And she almost feels a little more comfortable with the mortals sometimes.
Have you played an oracle before?
No, I have not.
Okay. So one thing I want to mention, because this has happened, just to clarify how I handle the foretellings thing. Essentially, when you spend that hold, you don't have to declare anything. You don't have to. You just say, okay, now I'm seeing that this is what's going to happen. I spend my hold to get that bonus for what comes next. It doesn't require, any declarations or things other than that. Sort of a soft adaptation of that. Do you think, as a tattoo artist, with some supernatural bent, have you had supernatural customers for your services?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. What's the worst supernatural customer to deal with?
Oh my God, Faye.
Faye. Okay.
You got to be so careful what you say.
Okay. All right. Awesome. That gives me a good sense. And we'll come back to you on the debt moves and choices in a little bit here. Which brings us to Vincent, our vamp. Vincent, tell us about your character.
Okay. So my character, her name is Dr. Karen M. M is Malvora, but she has all of her patients and her students, because she also teaches at the university. Just call her Dr. M.
Okay.
So she's a white court vampire who feeds off of fear. I have as her demeanor, I have seductive, but I think it's more of she seems like a safe person to go to. It's a soothing kind of seductive.
Appears empathetic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, keeps a very low profile. She was turned is not the right term for a white court vampire, but she recently lost her white court virginity.
How recently?
And, I think like within the past couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's only one person that she's ever killed, and we'll get to that with the who turned you.
Okay.
And when that happened, that's when she moved to Denver.
Okay.
I think
so
she'd
fairly recent transplant. That.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she had been based in Toronto before that.
Okay. Then let's go through those intro questions. How do you keep your cravings in check?
She keeps her cravings in check by doing kind of light snacks instead of full feeds.
Okay.
So her background, she specializes in behavioral psychology. So she does immersion therapy for phobias as like her main job. And so her patients, she comes in, she gets them scared in kind of a safe environment that she has a lot of control over, and that's how she gets her fix.
Do you mention that you have a solo practice, or you're part of a group?
I think that I'd like her to be part of a group in order to use that for one of my optional vamp moves.
Okay.
And my group makes up my haven.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Which means I need to change those because I had irresistible. I'm going to replace that with haven.
Okay. And you had mentioned about the person that you fed on, that you killed. Who turned you?
On a personal emotional level, I consider myself to have turned myself. I feel very guilty about that. I had a patient while I was in Toronto who I should have recognized I wasn't capable of helping and keeping in check. And I think that the pressure that I was putting on him caused him to have a psychotic breakdown. And he came to my practice, and I basically just, to save myself, threw everything that I had on him as far as my powers go. And I drained the point of death and then staged it to look like a suicide.
That makes sense. And
my father was very proud that this happened.
That
I had finally given up this whole trying to just be another person and start to embrace the family line, and that's what caused me to leave.
Okay. That beaming approval in the aftermath. So then what is it that you're invested in? What scheme are you working towards? It is a natural thing. White court vampires, even those who try to stay away, they're driven to those kinds of plottings. What is it you're scheming?
I think that I'm trying to, and you can nudge me if this isn't
Sure.
evil enough.
No,
but I think I'm trying to make a safe place for other white court virgins to have a home. I want Denver to be that place that we can have our herd without pushing things too far. So I think that since I've arrived over the past couple of years, there's been this like slow buildup in the white court population in Denver. That's probably putting the city a little bit on edge because it's different houses and just kind of all the emotional tenor of the whole city is starting to ramp up a bit.
So let me ask you a question. Before you arrived, was there a significant white court presence, or had there been a red court domination and now they're gone? Or what do you imagine for that?
Yeah, I think that Denver, the red court had been king.
Okay.
And post-war,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if we need to adjust the time frame a little bit, that's fine.
Sure.
But I think that that's the opening that I saw, that this could be a good place to set up a safe home.
So obviously, at least one of the families lays claim to Denver. Is it Malvora, or is it Wraith, or is it the third one whose name I can never remember?
Yeah, what is the third one? And they feed off of despair.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what's most characteristic of Denver as a city. Of those three, lust, fear, and despair.
I would actually, I would say either lust or despair of, coming here to seek a new life and maybe not finding it.
Yeah, let's go with despair. I'll look them up really quick.
Okay. And how do they feel about, how do the upper echelon of that house feel about your changes and intrusions?
Oh, they love it, don't they? No, they're pretty pissed.
Okay.
it
And
was Scavis.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think there's that aspect of just Scavis being Scavis, where I think there's a tiny bit of a this was bound to happen. What can you do?
Mm-hmm.
But they're plotting.
And your moves are, you've got your Vamp's Web, and then what are your other moves that you took?
So the other moves I took Put Out the Word. So when you cash in a debt with someone in your web, I can add the option, put out the word with their faction that you want something, and get +3 forward to hit the streets with that faction.
Okay.
And I took Haven. It's a dirty combo. You have a safe place, secure from outside dangers. It has emergency rations, a few ghouls who are teaching assistants and other therapists.
Okay.
And an escape vector, which you always have to have in one of these kinds of practices, because you're dealing with people who have some emotional disturbances. So you need a way that you can get out of there safely. And when someone willingly comes to your haven, they enter your web. I have a clarifying question on that.
Sure.
Do they need to know that it's a vampire haven to enter into the web? Because if not, this is a place that people are coming into a lot.
Yeah, no, my thought with that is always when they've made a conscious decision to come into a vampire's, understand the consequences and make that choice.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I have far too many people that are in my web.
Right. All right. I think that gives me a pretty clear picture of Karen, and I'll come back to you on the deck questions here in a sec.
Okay.
Alan, you are going to need to pronounce your name for me.
Yeah, that's just to throw you off, lol. Yolo Abdur is a Fae, but he's not one of the major courts. He's a Fae who belongs to the Tullywyth Teg, who are the Welsh Fae. He's something of a troubleshooter for them. The Tullywyth Teg have taken more interest in North America in the last decade, simply through the explosion of genealogical research and renewed interest in all those roots across the population. And so he now spends his time using a cover as a stand-up comedian, traveling North America, just checking in on things. Yeah, so that's his basic persona. He's fairly, it says messily dressed. I see that as kind of just, dress isn't particularly important to him, so he's a kind of jeans and t-shirt kind of guy.
Okay. And how long has Denver kind of been your sort of central point for this?
I think not very long. I think less than 6 months. And I'm trying to think of why he comes here, but you might ask me that question later.
Okay. And going through the intro questions, what is it that you love most about humanity?
Oh, they're hilarious.
How so?
Well, they're kind of they're so naive, and they make these promises to people and endlessly break them. It's just bizarre how they don't learn their lessons.
So it for you, it's a wild vision of what that rampant breaking of a basic consideration is. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is your closest confidant in the city?
That's an interesting one. I think that it's probably a bartender.
Okay. Male, female?
Let's make it female.
Okay. Do you have a name, or do you want me to pull out a name?
Let's call her Danielle.
Okay.
I'm not even certain I know a second name.
Okay. Just a bartender, or a person who manages the bar or owns a bar?
Let's make her the manager of the bar.
Okay.
And it's the bar at the base of the apartment block where I live.
Okay. Is this the kind of place that has an like a comedians in? Is there, or an open mic or something like that, or is it just more of an ordinary place?
I think it's an ordinary bar. I don't think it's somewhere I perform. I think I perform in other places.
Okay.
So I've got somewhere to go back to rather than endlessly being on show.
What do you desperately need?
I think what I need is a solution to whatever problem I was sent here to look at. Because 6 months is quite a long time in any one place for me, and you know, it's beginning to get me time to move on. So let me think. I think that I've come here. In my kind of mind, that kind of growth in an interest in Welshness has produced an awful lot of people across the States who are investigating Welsh cultural traditions and habits and all of that stuff. And let's suppose that there's a Welsh Society in Denver.
Okay.
And the chair of the Welsh Society has an ill daughter. and she's become fixated on being more Welsh than the Welsh, and I think the Tylwyth Teg have picked up on that. And so I think that I'm here to find out what's going on with that kid, maybe, or that family, as vague as that.
Sure. Let me ask you. So we know that there are several kinds of populations. We have your Welsh Fae clan. We have the Wild Fae. We've got the Winter Court, Summer Court. Of course, we have various scions. Essentially humans who've had a Fae parentage in some kind. What do you think? Is there a dominant force among the Fae here in Denver, or is it very scattershot? How do you feel about that?
I think that it's certainly not us. Don't call me a bloody fairy. There's part of me that thinks perhaps I don't know enough about the climate. Is it predominantly summer or winter here, in the sense of old style climate?
I think it's probably colder. I mean, we have pretty severe winters in Denver. Have a good solid
city.
Summer. Pardon? Yeah, so it is very high and the air is very thin.
Okay, well, let's make winter dominant. But I think there's probably plenty of wild Fae in the Rockies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can I just say something for a second?
Sure. Yeah.
My sanctum has a portal to an otherworldly dimension,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking maybe Yolo came through it, or I sort of sent a message to get him because there was some Fae stuff happening in the hills, and I'm like, well, I'm going to send a message out for help, and maybe this person can help me, and that's how he got here. It's just an idea, but
yeah, I wonder if you're a geologist, aren't you? I wonder if there's something around the geology, or what's the river that runs through here? South Platte. What if the family that I've got interested in live beside the river somewhere, and there's something geologically odd going on up there?
Okay. And that gives us a good place for the sanctum to link up to.
Yeah, very happy to have stepped through there from an eternal Welsh hillside.
All right, Yolo, that gives me a good sense of your character. I do want to jump back. Blake, anything else we need to know about that sanctum? Because I didn't ask about that.
What has he got? Library of Old Tomes, Mystical Prison, Portal to Another Dimension, and an apothecary. I'm probably not saying that properly.
Okay.
And amazingly, that's not the downsides. The downsides is it attracts otherworldly attention.
Okay.
And its location is known by many because, you're going to have fun, do it properly.
And so where is it? Where is your sanctum located?
With all that, I'm thinking, no way is it under my house. It's in the hills, maybe 10-minute drive.
Okay.
At one of these minor conjunctions of ley lines in the hills. And Yolo would know where it is because we've probably been on a few hiking trips in the hills or whatever.
Okay. That works. All right. I want to come now and work through the deck questions, which are key. Again, when we go to your deck questions, offer it up and the other player can say yay or nay on that when we go to those. And I believe that you can, let me see where, you can find the list of your deck questions there on that Creation 1 tab down there, third section down. So Blake, let me start with one of yours. What's the first deck question you want to take a look at?
Well, you are helping someone keep a dangerous secret. That sounds like the one we just discussed with the portal that's attracting attention because a lot of people would want access to that. So in that case, that would be Yolo knows about it.
Yolo, you good with that? Okay. All right. So go ahead and mark that that Yolo owes you a debt, and Yolo will also, in parallel, mark that on their sheet. Let's go to Kev. Which question do you want? of the debts?
Let's go with someone helps you understand your dreams and visions. You owe them 2 debts.
Ooh.
Oh, that should be me.
Yep. So let's do Dr. M for that.
Okay.
Maybe I thought, what the heck? I'll try a little therapy.
Did you know that she was a vampire before you went in, or did that kind of come later?
I think I had a weird feeling when I went in, but I was like, maybe this is a good thing. And then after a couple sessions, it's like, oh.
Okay.
And
all
I
right.
don't know if that was an intentional reveal by Dr. M, or I just picked up on cues and feelings.
What do you think, Dr. M? Would you have revealed that consciously?
I don't think the initial was revealed consciously, but I think I might have been confronted on it.
Okay.
I did
like,
that.
let's, as long as we're being honest with each other, you're a vampire, aren't you?
Right? Yeah, I dig that.
So you marked that you owe them 2 debts, and they marked that they have 2 debts on you. Beginning their web. Let's bring that to the vamp then. What is your debt question that you want to go through?
Okay. Someone makes sure you get fed regularly. You owe them 2 debts. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, someone directs people to your practice.
What do you feed on? Remind me.
Fear.
Oh, not a stand-up comedian then.
Well, stage fright.
Yeah, or unless you're of a particular political persuasion.
Do you remove their fear when they talk to you, or you feed on them? Or?
No, it tends to amplify it. And because I'm not just talking to them, it's, if they're afraid of spiders, I'm like, well, let's make sure that you have as much interaction with spiders as we can get.
So what do you think? Is that fit for our wizard or our oracle?
It's a tough one because it's kind of adding a dark flavor to everybody else's characters that I don't think are envisioned as very dark. One of the things that I've in the chat talked with Blake a little bit about is that it would make sense for us both to be professors at the same university.
Okay.
And like I think that there's an aspect to which I am still a good therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm just amping up anxiety and fear for every person that comes to my practice. It's a little bit of a roll the dice.
Okay, well, if I'm a professor, then anyone that's sort of worrying or stressing, then I can refer them to the good counselor to help out.
Yeah.
In that case, you owe them 2 debts. So Blake can mark 2 debts on you. You mark 2 debts that they have on you. Let's come to YOLO. Which one do you want?
Yeah, now mechanically, just let me make sure I've got this right.
Sure.
So the wizard one that we've set up with Narelle is it's phrased as Narelle is helping someone keep a dangerous secret.
It's you are helping someone keep a dangerous secret. So
is that you, the wizard?
Yes.
I think it is.
Yeah.
So is the dangerous secret that portal, that portal in the Haven, is a very direct route to my homeland?
What do you think, Narelle?
Yeah, either that or it's to a junction box that gets that sort of thing. So it's a shortcut, if not. Doesn't have to be immediately there.
It's more direct maybe than people would like.
Because that means I owe him a debt, her a debt.
That's correct.
That's secret. Fine.
Yeah.
Then I'm wondering whether the counter to that is someone broke an important promise to you and swore they would make it up to you. I think Narelle let that slip. Once.
What do you think, Narelle?
Sure. I don't completely trust him anyway because he's Fae.
Okay.
But I mean, I like the guy, but
I'm exceptional company.
But at some point, Narelle, you slipped up and maybe revealed more about that gate then, and that's why you owe YOLO those debts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then YOLO, you'll mark 2 debts on Narelle and Vice.
And I'm minus. So
they owe you 2 debts, so you'll put a positive 2
fine.
Because it's owed to you. If you owe it to somebody else, I'd put a minus sign in front of it.
So do I also need to have a separate line that says Narelle -1 for the secret she's now keeping for me? Okay, fine.
Which brings us to Narelle. What's your second one?
Someone that you go to when you get into trouble.
Who is that of our other 2 remaining? Or you can double up on someone.
I could see that as either Nathanda or Dr. M.
Would any of you mention, being good with a gun or doing a keto in their spare time or anything? Any sort of
I do have, it's when anyone asks, it's decorative, but I'm pretty good with a sword.
Yep, that'll do.
Okay. So then you will owe our Dr. Karen 2 debts. All right, which brings us back to the Oracle.
Okay, so you've had a dire prophecy about someone, but you don't know how to help them yet. You owe them a debt. And I think that dire prophecy involves... Boy, I'm torn between Narelle and YOLO. I see that portal and the proximity to Fae courts and stuff, and maybe control of that portal. It can be open from the other side. I guess I'll go with Narelle.
Okay.
And I just know that I've got this vision that Narelle is sitting on this powder keg of power just waiting to go off.
All right. So you owe your prophecy. So you owe Narelle a debt, and Narelle will mark that they have a debt on you. Back to our vampire.
Okay. My next is someone relies on you for their fix. They owe you a debt. I would think that's Nathanda. But I don't know. Does YOLO? Do you have any fears that you do need to get out that I'm able to help process?
I don't know. He strikes me as addictive in a different way. It seems more obvious for Nathanda, I have to say. But But if Amanda turns it down, then I'll think a bit more carefully.
Nathanda, what do you think?
What was the debt?
Someone relies on you for their fix. And I think fix literally the helping you get rid of your nightmares.
I totally can see that. I mean, I think if Amanda realizes she has at least some level of addictive personality, and that might be a bit of a thrill too.
Yeah.
In a way, submitting, as it were, to Dr. M's ministrations.
Nice.
Care.
Okay, so you get a debt on Nathanda. Nathanda owes you a debt. So back to our Fae.
Yes. Has anyone got anything they'd like to be kept hidden? I am keeping something hidden for one of you. You owe me a debt.
Well, I think I have a lot that I want to keep hidden.
Well, you tell me what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss how I keep it hidden.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most basic of those is I want to, I don't want it to get around to everybody that I'm a vampire. But I think we can get a bit more specific than that.
For a curveball, maybe the vampire has someone that they love, like actually love, and the Fae met them or knows about it somehow because, Fae magic.
Yeah.
Or some of these white court virgins that, their family wants them back.
Yeah, we could even, to build off of that, what if we have a white court virgin? Because if they're virgins, they're not as, if I remember right, and I could totally be misremembering White Knight, they're not as susceptible to their family's weakness.
Yeah, I believe so. Their strength is reduced and their susceptibility is reduced as well.
Yeah. So I think that to combine Blake's suggestion, we have a white court wraith family member that I'm in love with, is in love with me, and the family wants them to turn, but it could kill them.
And I'm keeping them hidden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
I think that they're staying with that family I talked about earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense that the weirdness that around them helps kind of cloak and cloud those who would hunt them.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's come back to our wizard for our last wizard's deck question.
Okay, someone is helping you keep your demons at bay. You owe them a debt. I guess my demons would be that the war comes back. I like the status quo of the peace that we've had for a while. So maybe if I talk to what's Kevin's character's name?
Nathanda?
Nathanda on a regular basis, because it's like, even if it's glimpses of possible futures, it gives me ideas and options of how to maintain the status quo in a mostly peaceful way.
Do you like that, Nathanda?
Yeah, that's cool. So you occasionally drop in and be like, what have you seen? What can you see?
Yeah, I'll take you to dinner, give you a consultancy fee or whatever, because I figured I've got more cash than you or whatever, and that's fine.
Okay.
Which brings us to our Oracle's last question.
Just 1 second here. All right, so the last question is, you're helping someone realize their true potential through your visions. They owe you a debt. I really want YOLO to owe me a debt because I think that's just awesome having Faye owe you something. So I'm trying to think of how I cross paths with you and realized maybe, well, so like I know that Narelle sitting on this powder keg of potential catastrophe, and it ties back maybe to the portal or something else. And I know that you have a connection with that portal to YOLO. And
What about you're in this boho district of Denver, which is probably where the clubs I perform are.
Yep.
And in that kind of when is a vision and when is it just a sequence of coincidences, you felt drawn to attend one of my shows, and then had one of those hang on moments. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I've got that feeling that you can help prevent a problem.
So just somewhere. Read me the deck again.
You are helping someone realize their true potential through your visions.
Okay, right. Okay, so we have maybe I quite like tattoos, and I spend quite a lot of time in your chair, and we have that conversation of a darkened night.
Ah, I love it.
And that's how you know the Fae are demanding customers.
And that means I owe you a debt. So I put Nathanda -1. Okay.
Yep. Which brings us to the vampire's last question.
Okay. And my last question, this is a fun one. Someone bears responsibility for you becoming a vampire. And YOLO, how did that happen? That's
how old are you?
When I'm fairly young. I'm late 30s.
And you're recently turned.
Yeah. You might have a longer history with my family because that's going back generations and generations.
Yeah, I wonder if we backed the wrong horse in some vampire on vampire conflict, and you're the fallout.
That there was a push somewhere along the line to put this dangerous person in her path to get her to turn. Sort of.
Because there was something that was supposed to set some series of events in motion that would have been advantageous to us, and it all went a bit pear-shaped.
What do you think of that, Doctor?
Yeah, I like that. I'd like to flesh it out a bit more. I'm trying to think. I think the tricky part, and I'm trying to see if I need to rethink Karen's perspective on it or not. Because for a debt to be owed, she needs to be aware.
Well, remember,
and in her mind, what happened was an accident.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because of course I'm denied. Well, I mark corruption if I tell an outright lie.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if I came clean because I felt guilty. But if that doesn't work in terms of
that works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a fairly recent thing.
I've been trying to run away from this for so long.
So after this event, I actually came to find you to make sure you were okay. And I told you what I'd done.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And it's starting to kind of come into clarity for me. I think if you're all right with this, this is really recent. Like this is for Karen kind of a instigating incident.
Okay.
That is getting her more anxious herself about what's really going on in Denver.
Was there a faculty night out You saw one of my performances, and I see you in
Like,
the audience. Think, oh,
wait. And I think that because you've been around a lot of different areas, and it's been a couple of years since I was in Toronto. Yeah, I think the person that I killed was an entertainer,
Mhm.
and somebody that, like, because they tried to build a stronger connection with me, had invited me to see their performances, and because they were a good source of food, I went. And I've seen you perform before. I'm like, okay, wait, I know this guy.
And even afterwards, you might have asked a question that I interpreted, because I feel guilty in a certain way. So I spilled when actually it might have been, have we met before?
Yeah.
And I let it all out.
Nice.
More than that, Doctor. How I summarize that in one line on Character Keeper, we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Which I believe brings us to our final deck question from our Fae.
So, hang on, lost it. There
Sure.
we go. So what's left? I entrusted someone with a dangerous task. Ask them if they succeeded or failed. If they succeeded, you owe them a debt. If they failed, they owe you 2 debts.
Ooh.
Let's see. I think I entrusted Nathanda with a dangerous task. And that was to see if she could tell me what's up with this Welsh society family that I've become fixated on. Does that fly?
Does that work for you, Nathanda?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. So are they movers and shakers in the Denver area, or are they just normal folk?
I
'Cause I
think
think that'll determine how successful or
Hmm.
abysmally she did.
I think they're normal folk, because I think if they were movers and shakers, they'd have different ways to solve this problem they have with the daughter. So yeah, I think I asked you to indulge your demons and try to focus your power on them, which I guess is not straightforward for you.
So what do you think? Did you find something out? Did you discover something useful, or was it too much for you, Nathanda?
Ooh, I think it's most interesting if it was too much for me. And I had really dire visions, and basically all I turn to you and go, oh, it's bad, but I don't know exactly why or what, but it's bad.
Yeah, the best kind of oracular vision.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
You're so screwed.
You owe me 2 debts.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. So that gives our debts on the table. What I want to do is take a break here, and we'll take about 5-6 minutes. Come back, and we'll probably start a session move to feed into an incident. I'll probably try and have everybody together in a scene, just so we can start together, and then people can move off in their different directions. So take about 5-6 minutes, and we'll be back.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Lo.
Mhm.
It's quite odd, Lol. I've seen so many of your clips, and it's just a bit surreal getting to play with you for once.
Oh, well, I'm glad to have this chance.
I particularly liked the I think it was Fate Accelerated Dresden you did with David LaFiero playing the mafia guy. It was just so good.
He's interesting because he does this thing whenever I play. He goes in one direction and then he takes his turn, and it always makes sense based on where he's been before, but it always surprises me. And so he's a really interesting person to run for. And it especially funny because, of course, Jason doesn't care for Fate, so it was trying to make Fate as palatable for people who don't dig it as much. But I really like Fate Accelerated. I think Dresdenfiles Accelerated has some really interesting tech in it. So
yeah, that's cool. I ran Monster of the Week the other day for Rich Rogers, and he's like, I'm going to roll some dice. Watch this. I always roll high. Snake eyes.
I had that in a session. I can't remember what it was, where I was rolling. I was playing Sword Crown and the Unspeakable Power, and all through the session, I had been so good. I'd been so hot. And it came down to like the last roll, and that's where I got my snake eyes and died. Was on that last roll. It was truly the roller betraying me. Did you pick up the expansion book for Monster of the Week?
No, I haven't got that yet. I saw some of the preliminary stuff. They were looking about sort of breaking down how magic works into different sort of fields, which look really good.
Yeah, it's interesting new moves. It's a great. They're kind of cool ways to tailor that to make it have a little more feel.
Yeah, it is kind of everyone can do all magic, which is like whoa compared to every other game in existence. Right. I'm not surprised they went in that direction.
Yeah, there's some neat options in that supplement. I would say that I think it's a really good thing, and I'm pleased that they're supporting a Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get started here. I am going to start with the session intro move, and going to start with Narelle. Narelle, of your three compatriots, people that you know that you've worked with, which of them do you trust the least?
The least. There's a Fae or a White Court vampire. It's like,
6 of 1.
They can't lie.
That doesn't help. I'm going to go vampire, even though she's the devil. I know she's still the devil, sort of thing. So yeah, keep her close. So yep.
Fair enough. So Dr. Karen, you get to then highlight one of the factions for Narelle, and then Narelle is going to decide about a rumor or a conflict that she's heard about going on in that faction. So which faction would you like for Narelle to mark?
Let's mark Wild.
Okay. So Narelle, you may go ahead and put a little X in the Wild box. And then I'm going to have you roll. Or actually, first we have you kind of tell us, what do you think is going on in Wild? So Wild includes the Fae,
and demons and stuff.
All of the classic things there. There are a few others in the expansions, but those are the big ones. What do you think is happening?
So, what's the history of the Winter Court? Are they still strong here, or they used to be, or?
The Winter Court is the Fae court that probably has the most influence here of all of them. They have the strongest hold in the area.
I'm thinking the Wild Court or Wild Hunt Court have been making big inroads recently, which is, kind of a surprise to everybody, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Possibly Yolo does.
All right, then let's have you roll with Wild.
Okay. So just add 1. Oh, 7.
7. Okay. So you've gotten kind of drawn into it. Tell me, do you owe someone in that faction a debt, or does someone in that faction owe a debt to you?
I owe someone a debt.
Okay. So what you have heard is that the Wild Fae have been arriving, and in numbers enough that people are talking and nervous, and there's a weirdness to them. They have bunched up together, and the certainly the feeling you have is that it is organized, and as you want to do, especially when they go, some of these Fae go tromping around in the mountains, you cross paths with some of them. And who is it that pulled your bacon out of the fire? What's the name of the Winter Court Fae who pulled you out?
It's a good Fae name. Gabrielle.
Okay.
He, him.
So you ended up running into a pack of not full Fae, but scions, clearly kind of foot soldiers for the wild. And in the midst of it, Gabriel showed up, and he got you out of there. Like, clearly he'd been stalking or shadowing these guys, and pulled you out of there, and just made it clear, knew that you were strange, maybe didn't know exactly who you were, but made it clear that you owed a debt to them. What do you think of Gabrielle?
Just for a bit of depth to the character, he's hot as.
Oh yeah,
I can't take my eyes off him. It's like, wow, starstruck.
Yeah, that classic, all of the sort of the hair that's just perfect and catches the wind there, out in the snow, all of that icy cold blue eyes that are striking. Yeah, absolutely. So you've marked Wild. Now everybody else, the way that I do is a substitute for the normal start session move. We've got that thing on the table. But everybody else, you can choose one of your faction boxes to mark. Because that everybody would normally do the session move, and we would do all that stuff, but we're just going to do the one. So everybody pick one to mark.
Can we pick the same one?
Yes, you can pick whatever you want of the 4.
Does that mean it's linked? Like, if Yolo chooses Faye, does that mean he knows Gabrielle or something, or is it totally unrelated? Or
I kind of do it open so that people can just kind of fill in their choices and to help with advancement.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna mark power.
I've gone for Wild because I'm interested in the politics.
Okay, that makes sense.
I took night because it's spooky.
All right.
Yeah, and power. Yeah, I think that a big part of me being able to make a safe place for my folks is that negotiation with power.
Excellent. So I'm going to hard frame a bit here. Oh yeah, Kevin.
Did we want to do the foretellings roll here?
Oh yeah,
first?
I forgot you had a start of session move.
Yep.
You know, it's always weird. I always forget start of session. So yeah, let's have you roll.
All right. Oh, not so great. 4, 6. So that's a fail.
That is a fail. Let's look at
Which is good. So on a miss, you foresee the death of someone important to you and take -1 on all rolls to prevent it.
Who is it that you foresee the death of?
Well, I think I'll keep it as one of the PCs here. And since I think I'm going to say it's Narelle, that powder keg.
Okay.
It seems like it's that much closer to blowing up.
Absolutely.
Winning.
So
I think we were all secretly hoping you'd pick us.
give me 1 second here. I'm going to drink this coffee down and put 2 and 2 together here. All right, I'm going to go with an old classic to start us off. Dr. Karen, why is the room on fire?
Yeah, I think that I misjudged how much I could push a patient.
Okay, so we're in a position. One of your patients is on the scene. Perhaps you were hoping to utilize them in whatever dangerous situation has gripped all 4 of you, and they have set the room alight. YOLO, you 4 of you together. Room is on fire. Who is it that is going to stop you and your compatriots from leaving? Who is in the way right now? What is the obstacle?
I think an innocent victim or several. I think we're somewhere public. And I think that the crowd is rushing to the exit doors. So they are the obstacle to our escape because I got them tables at the front of the bar.
Okay. So we're in a club. We're in, and it's packed, and we've got that stampede of people. And we have that Dr. Karen has tripped a switch, and someone, and now we're assuming someone who has some power has taken that too far. We don't know if it was someone with latent magical abilities or something like that and has lit this up. Narelle, people are rushing out, got the room, things catching on fire. Obviously, you were here to maybe help deal with the problem with this person who is now pyromancied the room. But who else was here to get them, and who else is the threat for you in this situation?
Threat. Someone from Winter Court. They were angry that a pyromancer is active in the city.
Yeah. So we have a couple of Winter Court people who are here who were here to perhaps catch this nascent a pyromancer and take them away. and the four of you kind of got caught up in this. And lastly, before I ask for actions, Nathanda, what is everyone else missing? What is the other thing that people need to be aware of in this situation here?
That someone else actually triggered that pyro, setting the fire off quite purposefully to create chaos and despair, death, the whole works.
Okay. That works for me. So we've got that established. Typically, the way I do this is I kind of do an order for people, and I usually do that throughout the turns. But if somebody like, oh, I have something I want to do, say, and we'll swap that order around. So I have a convenience initiative order that can change up. So, Narelle, what are you doing?
I was wondering if I could use elementalism to like blow the windows out, so too much air rushes in and hopefully puts the fire out.
That's an interesting idea. I like that. And let's look at your elementalism. Conjure elements to strike. Yeah, I think that'll be unleash an attack here. And essentially, a success will determine in terms of better harm. Like a 10+ will definitely blow everything out. A 7 to 9, is going to get some of them. Does that seem fair?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So where's unleash an attack? Oh, okay, up there. So I'm rolling with blood. Okay.
Yep.
Good. Blood. -1. Oh, this will be good. And I rolled 4, so 3.
So when you go to do that, you will blow open the windows that are fairly close to that. And there is that moment where the room is a little bit pressurized when that oxygen comes in and hits, and that fire jumps over to the bar. And suddenly the whole, like the alcohol, the drinks that are on the bar, it catches, and there's that explosion. As whoosh, now it's rushing, coating up the ceiling, and you can feel that wave of heat from that. And people are freaking out here, and the situation has gotten worse. Nathanda, what do you want to do?
Nathanda's been clubbing before when things went bad, and so her whole focus is getting up against the wall so she's not in a crush of people trying to get out, and she's just trying to grab people who are panicking going by and just kind of get them to slow down and stop, and she's looking to see if there's alternate exits.
Well, let's have you, you can choose. Are you more concentrated on observing the situation or more concentrated on keeping yourself and these people safe?
More keeping myself and people safe.
Then let's have you keep your cool, because I think that's about you staying safe and getting some of these people out.
All right, so with spirit, that's +2. Back. 8.
So you can get more people out and kind of get the exits cleared, or you can get yourself to a safe place.
No, I'm gonna try to get people out.
Okay. In that case, yeah, you will kind of push people and get them out to one of the less obvious exits, but in the crush, someone knocks you down, smashes you against the wall, and you're kind of pinned, and you're going to mark 1 harm. Dr. Karen, flames shooting out. You see Nathanda trying to get people, and then she drops into the crowd. You've lost track of where those Winter Court Fae are. in the room. What do you want to do?
Boy, I am going to be awfully shitty for these folks. So, we have our main exit. It's clogged up. There's just too many people trying to get out of it. I don't want to burn to death. I will say, by the way, this room is delicious right now. Oh yeah. And do I even have to make a feed move to feed?
No.
We'll circle back around to that part.
Okay.
But I think that the first thing that I'm doing is I say, there's another exit by the bathrooms, and there isn't.
All right. So you're trying to drive to pull off some of the populace that way?
Yeah, and basically, create an opening where I can get out of the main exit without quite as much clutter to do it. So,
okay.
As far as the move goes, I'm trying to mislead, distract, or trick.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're trying to draw a portion of the crowd off to give yourself an opening. Okay. Yeah. Let's have you roll with mind.
Okay. So do 2d6. Myself a dark color. Oh, I rolled a 10 on the die. I think I have a +1 on mind.
Look at that. You get to pick 3.
Nice. So I'm creating an opportunity.
Okay. Yeah. Look, you could make it out the front door and be out of here, no problem.
Yeah. I'm confusing them for some time.
Yeah, they're rushing and filling those hallways back to the bathrooms, and only then realizing there's no exits back there.
Yeah, and I'm avoiding further entanglement.
Okay, so you have positioned yourself, moved far enough away that if the Winter Court Fae, they're not going to see you, they're not going to engage with you. Okay, YOLO.
I'm still on stage with a mic, I think.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to use my move in our blood. When you trick someone, roll with heart instead of mind. And I'm going to say, not the toilets. Come via the stage, you idiots.
So you're going to try and it won't negate the opportunity, but you're going to try and draw them over your way to help them. Yeah. Okay.
So I see them piling into the toilets. And I'm getting their attention and waving them towards the stage because there's a way out through the green room and the stuff at the back.
Yeah, that seems like a distract. Yeah, so I think that's fair. Let's have you roll.
Okay, I'm the white dice. 8.
8.
Pick 2. I think I want to create an opportunity for them.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I was intending to split the crowd between the exits.
Draw off some of that pack. Keep fewer people are going to be injured in that event.
And I want to expose a weakness or flaw. Tell me if this is pushing it too much. I want to spot the Winter Fae.
I think that's perfect. I think that you will see as the crowd kind of swirls and clears. You'll see a pair of figures moving with more deliberation towards this young woman who's kind of crouched, holding her head by the bar. And you can see that one of them has these like silver manacles, and they are going over clearly to capture her. And you can spot them. So they're kind of in position on that. Norel.
Okay. Better part of valor. I'm just going to run out via the stage. I'm going to bolt for it.
Okay, so you just want to get out of here?
Yep.
Keep your cool.
Don't you always find these pseudo-humans care less about humanity?
So I'm rolling with heart, or?
So keep your cool is spirit.
Okay. Oh, and I 2. Oh, 11.
11. So yeah, you, as soon as you realize, as soon as YOLO says that there's an exit by the green room, by the thing, you can bolt for it. And of course, the Winter Fae aren't worried about you. They just want this person, so they don't try to intercept, don't try to stop you. And boom, you can be out the back door if you want.
Yes.
All right.
But I'm not going to keep running. I'm kind of looking around, see if there's anybody else watching the area.
Okay, we'll come back to you on that. And Dr. Nathanda kind of got knocked back down.
I think Nathanda's on the floor, fingers getting stepped on and kind of shuffled into, but not just. So that's where that harm is coming from.
Okay.
And looking between the legs, she sees that girl who's crouched down with the hands over her head, and sees the people with the silver manacles. And I think Nathanda starts crawling that way, and she's going to try to grab that person who's crouched down, because that just doesn't looks like someone's in trouble, and she can maybe sense, I think, some power of some sort off of them.
Yeah.
So she's going to try to hustle them out towards the back, because she heard YOLO say, "Go out the back, you idiots."
All right. I think this is escape a situation. And we'll see whether you can, in fact, get them out of here. Now, I can't remember. Did you get any hold with your foretelling?
-1.
Okay. You just get the -1. Okay.
So 7, and if the -1 applies,
no, I don't think it applies
because that's Narelle.
Yeah.
So it's a mixed result then.
Okay, so you have to choose 2 things from the escape a situation. If you choose the leave something important behind, that's the person.
Nope. So I owe someone a debt for my escape, and I think that's YOLO.
Okay.
Because YOLO called out, "This is the safe way to go." And I make eye contact with you, and you see me mouth "thank you" to you on the way out. And I think then we end up in another dangerous situation, the 2 of us, when we come out into the back alley.
Okay. As you come out into the back alley and there are people there, you'll see that Narelle has gotten out here and is kind of turned around, and out of the corner of your eye, you see this person, and you're like, "Oh, that's not good. That's not a person. I don't know what it is." But you hear like the clatter of silver coins as it kind of echoes in your head there at that point. We'll come back to that. Dr. Karen, you could easily get out the front now if you wanted.
Okay. Is there anything that I noticed that I might be concerned about that's still happening in here? I'm open to my guilt hitting me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's you run and then you look back, and a person who has no obligation to them grabs your patient, kind of pulls them along, and rushes them out the back. And you will see there are these 2 Fae who are kind of turning around now and heading to pursue. And of course, the room is on fire.
Yeah. So I'm still going to head out the front.
Okay.
But I'm going to circle back around because I figure I might be able to flank somebody and confront them unexpectedly.
Absolutely. So you had a clear path. It didn't take much for you to get out because you established that last time. So you can kind of come around the side, and you will see, of course, Narelle, and you see Nathanda with your patient, and you see there's a figure there who is a complete absence of fear.
Okay, that's not good for me.
Yeah, you're like, what's going on? So if you want, I'll let you figure someone out.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Or if you want to do something.
Yeah, the other option that I was considering, but if I can't identify them, then no. But trying to put a face to a name.
Oh, absolutely. So go ahead and mark Wild.
Oh, I already marked Wild. Wait, no, sorry. I marked Power.
Yeah, you made a good choice there.
Okay. And roll +0. Oh, we've got dice here. Okay, that's a 9.
That is a 9. You heard rumors that a few years ago, one of the Denarian, one of those demons with the coins, passed through a figure by the name of Charybdis, and passed through and left, and you think this might be him. Seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. YOLO, looks like your 3 compatriots are out, as well as this poor pyrokinetic. The 2 winter court fae are certainly, heading to pursue, but a lot of people have gotten out. Windows have kind of blown out. What do you want to do?
Have the sprinklers come on?
Yeah.
Then I'd like to unleash some fairy power, please. Wild Fury, you can summon an element of nature capable of striking your enemies. I don't really want to hurt them. I just want to bog them down in the water pooling on the floor.
I like that. So
I'm not sure. Do I need to roll for that? Because it feels like I just have to choose one. Corruption, debt, harm, or because I have taken the scales of justice, I can cash in a debt with someone to use a power from fairy magic at no cost. Let
me see here. Here's what I think we're going to do, just to kind of determine the range of this. Maybe roll mislead, distract, or trick. Essentially, you are using your elemental powers to render them out of the effect. Does that seem fair?
Okay. So I'll roll with heart then, because that's the trick. So there we go. 6, 7, 8.
8. So you get to pick 2 from the mislead, distract, or trick.
I think I confuse them for some time. And I think I avoid further entanglement.
Okay. Yeah. So you can start to make your way away, and they haven't put together what has just happened.
And I suppose what I'm hoping is that all the mortals are out before I leave, and they are still in there.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, they've got the water, the sprinklers coming down. There's just the handful of people who are now coming back from the bathroom way, and them. Sprinklers are up. The bar is probably going to be consumed by the flames just because of the depth of that fire. But you're in a good position. Norel.
Okay, can I see the mysterious stranger?
So I think you turn around, and you definitely now, this figure has let their cloak down, and you see this person.
Are they looking at me or someone else?
Right now, they're actually looking at Nathanda.
Sweet. I'm going to try and run past and grab a bit of hair.
Okay. Let me see what that be. Let's have you keep your cool to do that and keep moving.
Oh, 11.
Okay.
If that's the spirit.
Yeah, you grab the Denarian's a bit of the hair there as you move past, and
I'm keep moving. I'm going to keep moving.
Keep moving. Nathanda. Your wizard friend runs away.
I step out and I see the Denari. I don't know if I recognize what it is, but I can obviously sense some power. I'm like, oh, hell. And then I double hell when I see Narelle go charging off. And I've still got Rory by the hand, who I don't know. And I think I'm just kind of frozen there, like, oh shit, I can't go up against this. But since I'm holding Rory's hand, can I do a skim the surface to read their surface thoughts?
Absolutely.
Six, 8.
8. So you get to ask one question.
So so one of them is, why are you keeping secrets? Can it be, what's their secret?
Yeah, I think
these are more oriented towards asking PCs.
I think that what you will realize is that her power was very deeply buried, but she encountered something recently, an object that you can't quite get the full details on, that when she touched it, it woke this power up in her. And that she knows that it's dangerous and she knows where it is. And that she's been trying to keep her powers down at the same time she's been trying to protect this thing. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah, I dig that. You see my eyes go kind of wide and I look around and right in her face, and I'm like, well, we can't let them get their hands on that.
And that figure is stepping forward and clearly not reaching for you, but reaching for Rory.
Yeah, and I'm trying to interpose myself.
We'll come to that.
I already did my move. So
yeah, let's then come to Dr. Karen.
Okay, I have a really bad idea, but those are the most fun. So I know that this is a denarian. I can put 2 and 2 together, and that's a bag of coins. So we've got a few pieces of silver that are probably going to be making their way through the city. I know this would be very bad if it happens. And I know that if I don't, maybe if I don't touch the coins themselves, I stand a chance at not being corrupted. So, we're in a back alley. There's probably trash that's out. I'm hoping to find, like, I don't know, a broken chair or something that I can grab, give a good swing at the back of his head.
Okay.
Hope for the best. And if I can distract him for a moment, grab the coins and get out of there.
Well, you don't. He will only have the one coin on him.
Okay. I thought you had mentioned a jangling bag.
Oh, that's sort of more the sound effect that would have been picked up. The sort of impression that you would have.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what do you think that is? Do you think that's mislead, or do you think that's unleashing an attack?
Man, I think it's unleash.
Okay.
I think just as far as narrative goes, that's what's happening. I think it's a bad idea for it to be that, but that's what it is.
Let's have you roll with blood.
Okay. I have a +1. 6, so I got a 7 on that.
That is a 7. So you can choose one.
Okay. And it's take something from them. I'm getting that coin. I don't want them to be able to
pass it on.
Yeah. And is it, because I know what it is, can I, grab it through a hand in a pocket, something so I'm not actually physically touching it?
Wow. I think if you'd rolled better, I'd say yes.
Oh, gosh.
But I think there are a couple of things that happen here. I think that you're going to have to mark corruption.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's still staring at Rory, but his arm swings back further than it ought to, like a good foot further in that arc, and you'll hear the crack of the bone as he swings back, and he smacks you just with the back of his hand, and he smashes you against that wall for 2 harm.
Okay. And let me go back through how we mark harm in this game. Harm. Okay.
Yeah. And YOLO, you made your way out, so you hit that back doorway, and out in the alley, you'll see that scene. Wizard taking off, Nathanda protecting this person, and surprisingly, Dr. Karen engaging them directly and then flying back.
Yes. Okay. Does the supposed Denarian have hands on Rory yet, or was reaching towards?
Would have had hands on Rory, but this vampire came up and pickpocketed it.
Okay. In which case, I think. What do I think? What can I do? Need to save the innocent, save the world. I think I'm going to reach out and touch the Denarian.
Okay. That sounds like a great idea.
Literally, just touch. Just touch.
Okay. And what state do you want to put the Denarian in? The only one you can't choose is fear.
Okay. I think I want to put him in a position of confusion, if that's an emotional state.
That seems perfect. I think that kind of distraction, confusing, because he's had all this stimulus. It won't last long because it's a Denarian, but there is that moment where it kind of pulls back, and there's even that sort of disorientation, like maybe loses his balance there in that. And you see the face kind of distend and then fall back into place, like it's maybe having a little bit of trouble holding this body together at that moment. Narelle, yeah, you're out in the main street. You got this lovely piece of hair. What do you want to do?
Thanks to sympathetic magic, I'm going to chuck a fireball through it.
Okay. So let's.
If I have to take a bit of time, then I'll do that, because I want to do it properly and get him.
Absolutely. I think.
Lol, can I just say, just at the point that I think I've got him confused,
yes.
I just scream at Nathanda, run.
Okay. That seems like a fair. That's a zero.
Particularly as I've a strange premonition of fireballs coming.
All right. Let's have you unleash an attack, then, Narelle.
Blood. Okay. I'm racking up a lot of corruption for this. Please tell me blood's a positive number. No. Excellent. 3 again.
So a 3. So there is this moment where you push the fireball down the channel, and in the alley, you will see this fireball come, and that's the point at which this Denarian, who's been confused, the head clacks around like an owl, and that fireball goes whooshing back out into the street. And what kind of car are you standing by?
Prius.
So this Prius ignites next to you, just goes up. Your fireball catches it, and whoosh. Now it doesn't look like anything unusual because the building's on fire. So, but you are knocked down by that, and the problem now is that you've got this crowd running around blocking you. You're trying to orient yourself as you're knocked down, Narelle. That brings us to Nathanda.
Nathanda heard run, thinks that's good advice. Still have my hand on Rory. Okay. And I look at Rory and go, I see that fireball go by, but I don't know where it originated from. And the Prius blow up and Narelle go down. And I'm like, was that you? Never mind. And just grab her and try to run.
Okay, so this is escape a situation. Go ahead and roll with blood. YOLO gave you the opportunity, the opening that you needed to be able to make this move.
Oh, snake eyes.
All right. So I have a question.
Can someone tell me, is there a help move in this game?
There is. Lend a
Yeah.
hand.
But it gets you +1.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me ask you this, Nathanda. Are you more interested in saving your bacon or saving her bacon?
Well, I think ultimately, while Nathanda wants to think that she hews to higher values, that it's her. She tries to save herself.
Okay. And how do you get separated from her? How does the Denarian get a hold of her?
I think I make the mistake of not having Rory on the outside away from the Denari as we go running past. And so we see that again in human arm movement, and it just basically like clotheslines her and takes her down and puts its foot on top of her.
Yeah.
And I'm like so freaked out. I just keep backing away.
And he smashes her into the alley. And then you see him lean, and that fire, the kind of oddly colored fire you saw before from the pyrotechnics, you see it bleed out of her eyes and mouth up into his mouth. And it's like he is swallowing her soul.
I think I scream.
Okay. And Dr. Karen.
Oh, I'm going to try to get out of here.
Okay. If you want to escape, you can, because he doesn't care about you.
Okay, he doesn't.
He'll
Well,
find you with a coin later.
yeah. The important thing is that people have coins.
Yeah. So you can book out of here. You decide to do that, no problem. You follow behind Nathanda and escape. YOLO.
Oh, a moral decision so early on. I can't hit. I dare not try to take him on because I'm -1 blood. I am going to. A lot of water will be flowing out into this alley now, won't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, no. Different. I don't have to choose a specific element, do I?
Right.
Then I'm going to try and blow him off his feet with Wild Fury. I used. I've offered my king a debt for that use of Bedlam just now. I'll have to mark corruption for this one.
All right. So mark 2 boxes.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Never mind.
No, it's okay. I mean, everybody wants the corruption. It's all good, man.
Again, does this just happen, or do I roll?
So it is allows you to use it to strike. So you still are unleashing an attack, but you've got a nasty thing that you can just pull out.
Okay. So wish me luck.
Okay. Good luck.
That was not enough luck. I end up with 4.
End up with 4. So what is the element that you're pulling that you're doing? Okay. So I think it's that you kind of go to pull that air up and summon it, and it's at that moment that you feel those Winter Court people behind you grab on and kind of yank you down, like they interrupt your ability to do this, and because they're pissed, and they will knock you down, and you'll hear the last gasps come out of Rory as the last of that flame goes up into the Denarian's mouth.
As they pull me down, the column of air flips up, and you see trash cans being whipped into the air in this alley. Okay.
And you will see those Winter Court people sort of, when they kind of realize that something bad, they knock you to the ground and then they take off. Like they would like to hurt you, but there's something worse out there that they do not want to deal with.
So I think I leg it.
Okay. Narelle, you see Nathanda take off. You see Dr. Karen take off. You don't see where Yolo is. And you'll see that figure kind of standing up from this body in the alley.
I'm gonna. Who actually introduced the figure that got hurt to us? Who sort of asked us to come to this meeting?
I
Was
assume
that
Dr.
Yolo?
Karen.
Say again, Lowell?
I assume it's Dr. Karen that introduced you to the woman, that since she was a patient, right?
Yeah, and I think that I might not have recognized her pyromancy, but I recognized that she had supernatural energy. And being a very smart person, I decided just to bring all of my supernatural friends into one room and see what happens.
Maybe to figure out what was going on with her, maybe to solve the problem. You're worried about it.
All right, so I'm going to run after Dr. Karen then.
Okay. So we will take up a little ways away from there. Dr. Karen, you've gotten a couple blocks away, and you smell burning, and you see Narelle kind of running up behind you to try and catch you.
Okay. Put the hand that has the coin into a pocket.
Okay. What do you say, Narelle?
Darling, wait, I need a lift. Let's go.
Yeah. My car's in the next lot, right around this way.
Excellent, excellent. Because I don't know, she's got the coin. I didn't see any of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you assume a more of a walking pace to the car, so you don't look maybe as conspicuous. Nathanda, what are you doing? Behind you, maybe the last echoing sound of her last gasp.
I think Nathanda is running and kind of crying and sobbing quietly, kind of maybe almost like hyperventilating. And I run down. Do you see me running down a series of alleys and making turns, and then going into the back of my tattoo shop and locking the door and going upstairs to my crappy apartment.
Kind of still shaken there.
Yep.
And you only took like one harm, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you'll be able to kind of shake that off pretty quickly. But Yolo, what are you up to?
I'm torn. But the girl's already dead, so there's nothing to be done for her. This is in that district where the only person I know other than the clubs I work at is Nathanda. So I'm going to go and bang on her door.
So Nathanda, we see you exhausted, kind of getting to the top of the stairs up to the little crappy apartment when you hear that.
Oh, hell. Go down the stairs, look out through the peephole, and then kind of go.
A slightly bedraggled Yolo.
Like, well, I owe you. Open up the door, like, get in quick and lock it. And you see I've got all the lights off downstairs and just maybe a couple candles going upstairs. I'm like, come on up. Let's have some tea.
What the bloody hell was that about?
I did not see that coming.
Not my best set.
Yeah. So how do you calm down, Nathanda? How do you decompress here after that?
Oh, she's probably doing, what is that, CBA or whatever? That's a big deal now. The cannabinoid oils. Mm-hmm. Does tea infusions with that, and has like some chocolate that's got the pod in it. Some ingestibles, and just kind of like, I'm like, look at you, Yolo. I'm like, do you want to take the edge off? I can make some for you. Help yourself to chocolate. I'd love to see a Fae get lit up.
Here's a question I have for you, Yellow, before you answer. Are Fae affected by that? Or is it a voluntary thing, or are they not affected by it?
I'm not sure what the canon says, but I think that it would be interesting if we had all the effects with none of the risk. Because
Okay,
that seems so fair.
that seems perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I will take the edge off. And you know, say to the Lander, well, I mean, I brought the house down before now, but that was just bizarre. You know, I mean, count on your fingers. We've got a wizard. That weird Dr. Karen. We've got you. We've got me. We've got two members of the Winter Court. We've got some unknown pyromancer, and then the guy with the coin. Come on.
Yeah, what the hell was that thing? I mean, this is starting to sound a lot like that shit that was going on in Chicago. Do not like that. Do not like. I think that Dr. M has some splaining to do, because she knew that Rory, and why the heck she dragged that kid along.
So let's cut with the mention of Dr. M. Dr. M, what kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Tesla, but we are not going to it because I am traveling with a wizard.
Okay.
We are getting into the closest parking garage we can find, and trying to make sure that we're not being watched or listened to, and just have a conversation to catch up on things.
Okay. So what do you say?
Darling, what the bloody hell's going on? There were two Winter Fae. There was some nasty guy. I got no idea who he was. Do you know who he was?
No, I've never seen him before. It seems like he's got. I mean, I could sense no fear. That's got me concerned.
I tried really bloody hard to stick some fireball up his ass, and nothing happened. Well, it blew up a car, but it didn't harm him at all. What? I mean, I'm not rattling my own bucket here, but I know what I'm doing, and he just shrugged it off.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to figure out. Rory was a pretty new patient. I could tell that there was something going on with her, but goodness, that girl is some kind of beacon. Or was. I mean, I'm not even sure if she made it out.
When the fire started, I thought she was some sort of summer fae or something, and that's why the Winter Fae were there. It all made sense, but then it's like she lost control for no reason, and then this tall, dark, and powerful thing was there. I need a drink.
All right. Well, I have a confession to make. My car's not here. You're not getting anywhere near my car.
Okay.
Fine.
I'll catch a taxi.
Yeah, I'd recommend, get a yellow cab. Don't. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you even can call an Uber.
I'll be fine, darling. Look, stay away from that tall dude. Power oozed off that guy. I didn't have time to look at him, but I could pick that up without looking at him. But just, take care.
Yeah. Bad news all around. Definitely want to keep a low profile and not get his attention again.
Yeah, we'll catch up in 2 days. All right? Take care of yourself, darling.
In the meantime, I worked with Rory for a little bit. She's given me a couple of emergency contacts. I'll try to check on them.
All right. Keep in the loop, darling. Stay safe.
You too.
And I'll go and get a taxi.
YOLO, where do you crash? What is your living situation when you're done hanging out with Sanda? Are you crashing on the couch here, or are you going back to your place? And if so, what is that place like?
Well, I have quite a nice apartment because it seems to be fair, always well heeled. But I was hoping to do rather better than the couch. Because you know, this has been a very stressful evening, and we're relaxing over a mixed buffet of goodies, and I wonder if that takes us to a moment of intimacy.
I like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's totally legitimate.
Okay.
Unwise decisions under the influence.
All right. Well, you kind of spoke of it, so let's have you trigger your intimacy move first. YOLO.
Okay, so when you share a mode of intimacy with another person, demand a promise from them. And if they refuse you or break the promise, they owe you 2 debts. And the promise I want to extract from Nathander is that we revenge ourselves on that miserable bastard who I think we both think killed someone who was, if not innocent, at least innocent-ish.
And she's like, hell yes.
Another difficult decision under the influence.
Absolutely. And Nathander, what is your intimacy move?
When you share a moment of intimacy with another person, you gain a specific and clear vision about that person's future. You can ask up to 3 questions about the vision. Mark corruption for each. And we're doing 2-for-1s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is there a list of questions I'm supposed to be pulling from, or can this be anything?
I think this is anything. You know, it might be figure someone out, but as a good model. But I think you can work away from that if you want.
Let me take a look. All right. So so what can I do, YOLO, to have you be in my debt and owe me a favor?
Interesting.
See, I need to mark that corruption.
It feels kind of mutual, this, doesn't it? That if I've extracted a promise from you, perhaps you extract the flip of that promise from me. So I promise to help you get revenge on the Denarian. You promise me that you'll get revenge on the Denarian. So it kind of ties us together around that. Does that seem a bit bland, or?
No, that's cool. We got a blood pact, essentially, of vengeance. And vengeance is very much a faith thing. And I think maybe, you know, I'm so wrapped up in the emotions and kind of feeling them off of you because of the physical contact and stuff, and the visions, that I get caught up in that. I might regret that feeling in the morning, but right now I'm like totally, yeah.
Do you want to ask another question, or are you happy with that?
I think I'm good with that.
Okay. Don't want to mark more corruption?
No. I want to hold on to that mortality if I can.
So let me ask Dr. Karen, when you've got your Tesla, you go home, where do you crash? What is your living space like?
And I just put it in the notes. I'm revising from a Tesla. I misread. I have a comfortable car, not a fancy car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have a Kia. It's still fairly modern, but it's a few years old. And yeah, I have a pretty sizable apartment for Denver that's within walking distance of the university, so I don't have to drive to the campus each day. And it's very clean and tidy, but has shelves along the wall that have just kind of like every conceivable human fear in some kind of physical representation. So there's and all of it is yeah, like there's taxidermied spiders, and the carpet that I've had put in gives a sense of vertigo just by standing.
Okay, like a little Uzumaki spiral pattern on the floor. Okay. Yeah, and you got this these shelves of fear boxes. We see you come in. At first, we see the cleanness, and then as we move, the camera pans behind you. We see all those fear boxes kind of come into frame there, and we probably get a musical sting at that point. And
it's all white walls, but shadow boxes.
Yeah,
just everywhere.
Narelle, what does your living quarters look like?
It says I've got a simple house. I'm thinking it was like a container crate, shipping crate, that some Renault show did up and made lovely, but it's room for one, basically.
Mm-hmm. They've got this sort of like it's supposed to be cutting edge. These shipping containers, probably a set of them there, but people weren't as excited about them as they could have been.
There's no yard. It's 20 by 60 foot or something, and that's it. And yeah, it's lovely, but it's a shipping crate.
And are there anything when we see you come in? Is there anything that says wizard on the interior decoration, or do you keep that quiet?
I keep that quiet. It just looks like geologists, and there's pictures of rocks and mountains and samples all over the place.
Excellent. And I think that is where we're going to stop for today. Sorry. We've got the Wild Fae out there. We've got this object. We don't know what it is out there. We've got this winter court involved, and we've got a denarian on the loose, and a coin in someone's pocket. So those are things that we will do. I will do a session intro with one of the other players next time. That may add a new thing or deepen one of those things. We'll come to that. At the session end, if you learn something meaningful about a faction, you can increase your score in that faction by 1 and decrease your score in a different faction by 1. Narelle, having seen what's gone on, do you want to shift any of your factions?
I kind of think we know there's a lot of wild stuff happening in the city with the demons and stuff. So I'm taking a point from somewhere else and putting it.
Yeah.
I seem to be the only wizard, so I'm going to go take 1 from power and put it into wild.
That makes sense. And Nathanda, do you feel like you want to shift any of those?
Yeah, I think I'm going to pull 1 from mortality, because this is everything has been some sort of supernatural flavor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to move 1 over to power, because we've got these demons involved now.
Okay. Well, demons are actually wild.
Oh, they're wild. Then I'm going to put it into wild. Okay. Plus, we also had winter court.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And one other quick thing too, YOLO, during our moment of intimacy, I also would have told you about Rory and that her power had been triggered by some object that she was hoping to protect. So you know about that as well.
Oh, good.
I just want to get that out there in case I forget before next session.
Smart. And Dr. Karen, do you want to do any shifts?
I don't want to, but I feel like I ought to. I think that I'm going to shift wild up, because I'm getting this understanding that these outsiders are up to some shit. And I'm going to shift mortality down, because I did some crappy things to innocent humans in this session.
Okay.
I think that my trust level with them has gone sour a bit.
And Iolo, do you want to do any shifts?
Yeah, I think that what we saw today was YOLO is actually, not only does he find humanity fascinating, he's quite protective of them. So I'm going to increase mortality from 0 to +1. And I think that having seen Dr. Karen's behaviors, I think I'm going to shift night down, because I
Okay.
don't. I think that's all a bit suspicious.
Now, the other part of session end would normally be, we would say, if someone did you a favor at the cost, to tell the group, and there'd be an argument to make that you helped Dr. Karen. However, that's me hard framing that in, so I don't think that really counts, because I don't want to put a burden on there for something that the GM established. But is there anything out of the context of that anybody's like, oh, I think I did a favor at a cost specifically for this person that rises to the level of adding debts? Norel, anything?
No, not really. We all kind of do what we could to survive the situation, to me.
Okay, that seems fair. Nathanda?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I might be a little ticked off with Dr. M misdirecting people and increasing panic levels, but
That'll give us the fiction to play with
Yep.
later. Awesome. Dr. M?
I'm going to say no. Like, I could argue that I provided an opportunity for Nathanda, but given that who she was trying to protect didn't make it out, I don't think that I can claim that I'm owed anything.
That seems fair. And what about you, Iolo?
No, I don't think so. I think that the debt mechanics worked in my moves, so
Okay.
I don't think there's anything else.
All right, so that's where we're going to stop. We'll be playing at the same time next week. At the start of session, we'll do the start of session move, but I also will check in with everybody and see if you're happy with the moves that you chose. If you're not, you'll get the chance to shift those around. I just want to make sure that now they kind of know what the play is going to be like a little more. If you want to make any changes to those, we can do that. All right, and if anybody has any questions during the week, feel free to send me a note. I'm going to stop the broadcast.